Here on Family Radio, we have been teaching for years and years what we have learned about the unfolding of God's timeline of history, beginning with the already 35 years ago we began to teach that creation was in the year 11,013 when that was coordinated with our calendar. And to come to that required a lot of study and of comparing Scripture with Scripture and harmonizing Scripture with Scripture until finally it looked like this is exactly what God is teaching. But of course we had no absolute assurance that we had it right. Then we came to the fact that the flood occurred in 4990 BC. Again, it took an enormous amount of study to come to that, and yet we had no absolute assurance that it was accurate. We had, as we went along, learning more and more about the timeline of history, going through finding that, for example, that Abraham was circumcised in the year 2068 BC, and so on, or maybe 2067, I forget which one of those 2 years, and again, teaching this, and it all was working through some very complicated language of the Bible. Yet, as a teacher, as I was teaching that, and as I got suggestions also from our listeners to assist, so that embellished the teaching and assisted in the teaching, and there were times when I could see that yes, and this locks in with that, and that shows that we must be on the right track. But nevertheless, I could never say more than this is what we're able to find so far, and there's a strong likelihood that we probably are accurate, but we could never say certainly. But then remember, about a year ago, God gave us these fantastic proofs of the 7,000 years of 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, and then the proof of that since Christ was hanging on the cross on April 1 and 33 AD, and we can be very certain of that, and that was exactly 722,500 days before May 21, 2011, in inclusive days, as a matter of fact. That also makes it even more astounding, and that 722,500 breaks down into these very, very important numbers: 5 times 10 times 17 times 5 times 10 by 17, which just fit perfectly with the period of time that went on from April 1 of 33 AD to May 21. Now, that is reasonably easy to understand, that proof. You don't have to be a student of the Bible. You don't have to know a whole lot, either the proof of 7,000 years or the proof that the flood water struck in the 17th day of the second month of the biblical calendar of that day. That's stated in Genesis 7. That doesn't take any calculation at all. And then when we look at the biblical calendar of our day, which we can find in any Jewish bookstore where they have Jewish calendars that come out that are identified with the biblical calendar, we find that May 21 was the 17th day of the second month. Now, these kind of things are very simple to understand. They're not difficult, really not difficult to understand. And that's why we have put these proofs in tracts, because the fact that they came out this way, it's It's incredible. And only if all the work that had been done in studying the Bible and comparing Scripture with Scripture, so that we knew that creation was 11,013 BC and the flood was 4990 BC, and that Christ was crucified in 33 AD and so on. Only if that work had been done absolutely accurately could these proofs be there. And so whether we can understand it all, at least it vindicates and emphasizes that that when you're reading information that show how we arrived at these dates all the way through to May 21, 2011, you know that the teacher and those who were involved in coming to that information had been correctly guided by God. The Bible is the authority, but God had used these teachers in a way so that the truth of the Bible could be put out there for anybody to look at. And that is a great blessing. It doesn't look, it's not to build up our ego or to receive adulation or whatever. After all, anything that I have learned and have been able to teach is only the mercy of God. I'm not brilliant at all. I'm just an ordinary hather. But, you know, God in His mercy can guide a person so that if He's going to use that information for the world, then He can guide a person so that it will come out accurately. And that's the way God has done. And all I can say is I'm humbled beyond measure, because I had a big part in this, but there were others also. And I just don't understand it, but I'm so thankful that I could be used in that way. And so now we can know that, well, if the proofs came out, and they're very easy to follow, if the proofs came out accurately, then it means that all the other teaching must have had might have been very accurate. But remember, finally, it is the Bible that is the authority, not the teacher. The teacher just finds that and then reports it from the Bible. But now we're going to pause for a break.